These meditations, they are kind of an experiment we are conducting. They are not, of course, a way to live your life 24/7. I suggest, for instance, to keep your eyes closed. You cannot do that while driving. So sit as comfortably as possible, and if possible, close your eyes. It's not mandatory, but it may be useful. And simply welcome all your thoughts, all your bodily sensations, all of your sense perceptions, which is mostly sounds and tactile perceptions, without trying to do anything about them. So that's the luxury of conducting an experiment. We don't have any agenda, right? We don't have to do anything. Everything that needed to be taken care of has been taken care of, or will be taken care of in 45 minutes. So we can be absolutely passive, or passive as much as we can. And this extreme passivity doesn't imply that we don't think. It is not the same as an absence of thoughts. Because thoughts, images in the mind, come up naturally, spontaneously. If we try to interrupt the flow of thoughts, that will be an activity which is precisely the opposite of the passivity we seek in this experiment. We minimalize, if you will, the expenditure of energy, so to speak. The body is not moving. There is no physical activity. So the residual activity is brain activity, if you will, mind stuff, thought-like stuff. And to minimize it, all we do is just let it flow, not stop it. Let it flow, but not act upon it. It is very interesting and the first time surprising to see that these thoughts and perceptions arise in an absolutely spontaneous fashion. They arise in us in a way which is not different from the sound of traffic outside or the birds calling. We can be there, and the next thought, the next image which is going to come up surprises us. In a sense, as a separate entity, we don't own them. We don't choose them. They just visit us. The thoughts are the visitors of our mind. So see what happens as we are conducting this experiment when we try to verify my assertion, my statement that the next thought surprises us. We don't know what the next thought is going to be any more than you know what my next words are going to be. And any more that I know what my next words are going to be, or at least my next thought. Everything is coming out of this presence from moment to moment, and in this meditation it is as if we were standing by the source, seeing, contemplating, observing. Whatever originates from the source from moment to moment, always new, always unexpected. Up until we realize that we are the source. We are not really standing next to it. That too is a concept, an image in our mind. We are the source, out of which all of these thoughts and perceptions keep arising, surprising us. Observe also the tendency to go into the past or into the future. Instead of staying by the source, so to speak. any incursion into the past or into the future can be postponed up until after this experiment. There is no emergency to go into the past or into the future. Everything is fine. We have to understand that the past and the future are not real. Our reality is now or never. So because the past and future are not real, no real satisfaction can be found traveling there. When that is understood, no matter how preposterous it may seem to be at first sight, the propensity to travel into the past and into the future, trying to find happiness there, has been dealt a lethal blow. As a result, it becomes easier and easier to come back to the now and to stay there effortlessly. Standing by the source out of which everything arises from moment to moment. A mistake would be to try to see the source, to try to feel the source, to try to experience the source. We have to understand it's impossible because we are the source. Just as the human I, EYE, will never see itself directly. It can see its reflection in a mirror in real time, or its image in a video later on, but it can never see itself directly, or, so to speak, I to I, EYE to EYE. It is the same here. We never can see I, letter I, to I, because we are it. We have always been it, will always be the invisible I. Everything we see is simply our creation from moment to moment. Everything we see is an emanation, a projection of the invisible source. If you are frustrated upon hearing this, that you can never see the source, think twice. Whatever we can see, we will lose sight of it sooner or later. But what we are will always be what we are. Remember the experiment we are conducting. Simple contemplation of whatever emanates from the source, from moment to moment, without following up on it. Allowing it in, allowing it out. Unimpeded flow of things. The passing things are simply reminders of our permanent being. Remember that this experiment we are conducting is about absolute passivity, minimizing any kind of effort, postponing anything that needs to be done but can be postponed for 30 more minutes or so. See that as a result, most activity of the mind gets dropped. Especially any thought that relates to the past or the future of a human being we believe to be, of a separate body-mind we believe to be. Because experientially, the separate body-mind exists only as a concept, as a thought. And as a result exists only in relation to the past or to the future. In the now, there is only what is. There is no separation. There is no separate entity. Only what is. And in the beginning it seems difficult to stick to what is because there are forces that seem to pull us out of it, into the past, into the future. So it seems to us that to stick to it, so to speak, requires an effort which then would be in contradiction with the experiment we are conducting, which is an experiment in absolute passivity, absolute effortlessness. But in fact, the effort is this pull into the past and into the future that triggers all these thoughts of fear and desire, always pursuing a goal. A goal that is allegedly going to be beneficial to the limited, separate entity who is pursuing it. And that's an effort. It begins with a thought, with thinking, more thinking, more thinking, more thinking, and then activities. Every time we go back to the now, we go back to this meditation, we destroy this activity in its very inception. We just abort it. As a result, the habit of going into the past and into the future that feeds this illusion of being separate gets weaker. The less we perpetuate it, the weaker it gets. The weaker it gets, the longer we can abide effortlessly in this presence, as this presence. So it's okay in this experiment, in the beginning, to apparently relentlessly go back to this absolute passivity, go back to the now. Every time we do that, we are in perfect meditation up until we fall back into the old habit. And then we go back to perfect meditation. So in the now we don't know what we are, which doesn't matter because we are what we are anyway. We don't need to know it, really, we are it. But it is not true that we don't know it, because we know it with every perception. Our knowing it is a consciousness aspect, the consciousness element in all perceptions. By perceiving the very same fact of perceiving, whatever we are perceiving, By the same token, we know I am. We cannot not know what we are. That's the secret. We only believe that we can, that it is possible for us to not know. It is only possible conceptually as a residue in the mind, but not experientially. In a sense, if we create new words, we could say that knowing, coined from being in the now, right? Knowing equals knowing. So in this meditation, you can at some point have the feeling that you are losing it, so to speak. You're losing your mind. And that's okay. You'll find it again, don't worry, at the end of the meditation. But for the time being, allow complete freedom to whatever arises. Bodily sensations, feelings, and thoughts. Fearlessly open the box. Nothing which is inside the box can hurt you, affect you, or kill you. Let everything flow by itself, on its own. Don't hold on to anything. Let it go. Let it flow. After some practice, and by practice, I mean simply after having conducted this experiment several times, sometimes more than several times, you should see that you can remain effortlessly in the now. So when we are effortlessly in the now, there are much less thoughts. So we can observe that we are effortlessly in the now when our phenomenal experience is mostly comprised of bodily sensations. In this configuration of this experiment where the eyes are closed and the external sense perceptions are reduced to a strict minimum. Sometimes accompanying, not sometimes, most of the time, accompanying these bodily sensations are irrational images in the mind, similar or a little similar to what happens in our dreams, however, without the story that appears in the dream. Because in this case of this experiment, there is no entity in the story, so there cannot be a story. What appears then in these bodily sensations are bodily sensations that are related to the normal functioning in the body. And also other sensations that are related to the body transitioning towards its natural condition, its natural state, which is a state of transparency and borderlessness. Now, regarding this experiment in meditation, what is interesting to observe is what happens when we stop it. When we go back to normal activities, normal life, without imposing any longer the constraint to minimalize our activities. This constraint was a trick, if you will, to place our body-mind somehow artificially in its meditative state, if you will. But the meditative state, which is a natural state of the body-mind, doesn't stop abruptly when we remove the constraint of being absolutely passive. It survives for a while, sometimes for a very long while, after the experiment. So we can observe then a different quality in our life, in our experience, which is the perfume of meditation.